What's going on, everyone? My name's Akeem Henry. Welcome to the MMIMS podcast, Minority Males in Medicine podcast, powered by Mission to Medicine. Happy holidays. Thanksgiving just finished, and it's now Black Friday weekend. If you had spent time with your family, friends, I hope it was a lovely time. And today we have a very, very nice podcast for you all.
Definitely. Cameron here. I'm super excited to record this podcast. Definitely had a really great guest. Excited for you all to listen to it. So that brings us to who we had on the podcast. So we had Dr. Terrell Jones, who is a second-year emergency medicine resident at Emory. He's from Marietta, Georgia, and went on to Florida A&M University. After getting accepted to multiple medical schools, he decided to attend Duke University School of Medicine, where he got involved in leadership positions, such as serving on the medical school admissions committee.
Big timer, man.
For sure. In this episode, we talked about his advice he has for those applying to medical school, bouncing back from adversity, his experiences as an emergency medicine resident, and much more. Enjoy. Terrell, what's going on, man? Long time no see. Good to see you, man.
Good, man. Been a minute.
Yeah, it has.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since the Duke SMDP program. Seeing each other. I think I saw you once since then. Other than that, not too much. But yeah, man, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. You too, Keem?
Likewise. It's 2015 when we met Terrell back in Duke SMDP. He was a great mentor and RA at the time, I believe.
A TA. He's a TA, yeah.
He was a TA. Well, he didn't. What class did you TA again?
I was doing physiology.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't have. That's fine.
That's a whole story for another day.
Yeah. Oh God. Good memories. Going down memory lane.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, you know, now you're a resident, emergency medicine resident at Emory. So we definitely wanted to bring you on the podcast and hear all the great advice and tips you have, as well as just sharing your experience. So just kind of to start us off, could you just talk a little bit about your background and what got you interested in medicine?
Yeah, man. So I'm, like you said, I'm one of the second year Emory emergency medicine residents right now. Kind of, you know, I'm from like, I claim Atlanta, but I'm from like Marietta. Marietta is Atlanta adjacent. I know Atlanta people get so mad about. Anyways, I'm from Marietta, Georgia. Grew up in a 2-parent household. Sort of got instilled sort of in me early on. Like my mom was like a daycare / preschool type kind of teacher. She used to have a lot of like the community kids come and they would stay at her house while their parents would work, and she would be like teaching throughout the day. It was honestly like a split between like hooked on phonics type stuff and just like Bible verses for the hooked on phonics. And so it was like a little mix of that. So I was really like exposed to the like education kind of early on.
Right.
Then I went to, did all my primary school in Marietta, ended up going to Florida A&M, in HBCU in Tallahassee for undergrad. Did my thing there, had that transition as a whole experience too, and then eventually went to Duke for med schools, where I met these two wonderful fellas here. And then from there, kind of went on to Emory for residency. And I think I kind of got into medicine. Honestly, like when I try to think to like a specific moment, it's not really like one moment that kind of tipped me towards medicine or anything like that. And to be really candid, like growing up, my parents were just honestly like you should either be a lawyer or a doctor. And I mean, I just kind of believed them early on. It was like, cool, I'm just going to do what I need to do and like do my best in these classes. But I didn't really have like specific direction or like specific goals or benchmarks to hit. I was just trying to do well in my classes. And then it wasn't, I ended up doing fine. I was like solid at biology in high school. I took this class called AP Government and it was trash. And then I was like, all right, well, we're gonna leave lawyer stuff all the way over there. And then took AP Bio, liked it, majored in bio, did the pre-med track. And then it wasn't really until I like shadowed some physicians and started getting into more like service and started seeing how you can have a specific roles in the community as a healthcare leader, provider of any sort really. But for me, it was specifically like the physician role that I was looking for. And that's what really like drew me towards the field. It really took me like getting experience in the field to really know that it's something I wanted to do. Because honestly, I didn't really know. When I was younger, I was trying to get on these beats. Like I'm from
trying to be a producer out here.
Yeah, man. I was on these beats, boy. But yeah, and I think it really took like getting that, seeing what I could be, seeing what I could do early on that really like sort of put me on the path, but definitely not like the heavens opened up and that day 4 that I was going to be a doctor. Nothing crazy like that. It was just like kind of just my experiences led me to this point.
Sure. Got you. So talking about your experiences, I know you said that it wasn't just one, certain pivotal moment that just made you, say, oh, medicine is what I want to do. Taking it back a little bit to FAMU, how was your undergrad experience with like being pre-med and taking some of the classes and your experiences maneuvering through the pre-med journey?
Yeah, man, it was a transition. I didn't want to go to FAM. It was like an early transition. I was trying to go to another big state school. And then, but state school wasn't trying to give me no money. And so FAM gave me a scholarship.
Where the money resides.
Right, exactly. They were like, what's your GPA? Okay, cool. You get the little Hope scholarship. That wasn't enough. So FAM is what they gave me like a scholarship to go there. So that's kind of what put me there in the first place. But being there, I think it was honestly a blessing because being at an HBCU, it comes with its own unique challenges, but you really get to meet a lot of your peers who are, also not always, but largely Black, and interested in similar things that you're interested in. Right. And so I think it's good for great for building relationships and also great for setting that foundation because I feel like at FAM, people really, for the most part, cared about sort of what you're going to be going forward. And that's not always the case. You hear these stories about, counselor telling people, you're not going to be this, you're not going to be that. And that happens too with FAM. Let's be honest, it happens too. But for the most part, you can find a community that's really there to support you. Yeah. And so I think when I got there, I had kind of gone through high school. I was solid at school. It wasn't I didn't struggle in high school. And so getting to college where things, are much more fast paced and you're going way more into detail and things like that. It was a big transition, man. Kim too. That was probably that was my freshman year. That was trash, man. Right. Shout out anybody who went to FAM knows about a specific professor. I'm not gonna say no names here. First name is 2 syllables long. His last name is 2 syllables as well.
That's already enough information there, bro. You don't want to do that.
Because everybody, it was just a terrible. It was tough. It was just really tough. It was kind of it wasn't COVID, but he was away, so it was a lot of virtual learning and stuff. And it was, tough on top of that, and so it was just a major adjustment period. Right. But I think it did set the tone for study tactics going forward, which was helpful. But I think, just the transition, man, every level comes with its own different challenges. So just kind of learn to adapt to your surroundings and using your resources around you, using the people around you, getting to make those relationships really important. But definitely a transition for sure.
In undergrad, how would you characterize your personality? Were you more of a social butterfly, more reserved? How would you describe yourself? Because you mentioned it's important to have a community and you were able to formulate a community down there on your pre-med journey. So for our listeners out there who might be in undergrad right now struggling with finding a community to support them, what would you recommend to them? And how would you describe your personality to go out there and form that community?
Yeah, man, I'm super introverted. So I'm super into the spectrum introverted. And so I really like being by myself. It's not I'm not I hate people kind of person, but I'm just I really like myself. You feel me? And so the communities that I made, it was mainly when it comes to school and things like that, it was mainly through classes. And I would go to all the study sessions and tutoring, and I would be in the library. You tend to find when you go to the library a lot, you'll find there are other people who are also often in the library. And so you meet those people that you recognize. You can just say, what's up? You working on, you see what they work, what they're working on because you're working on the same thing. You know what I mean? Right. And so there's community there. There also, of course, it's FAM's a social school. And so there's obviously going to be lots of parties and events and fun things to be at as well. But for me, I didn't have as much as a difficulty distancing myself from certain things that I knew, weren't necessarily good for me just because I like being by myself that much. But for sure, it's a balancing thing. And that it doesn't change from college to med school to even residency. to be on, because you're always going to have, there's always going to be other things that you can do that aren't related to like your academics or your coursework or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so if I was given advice, it would just be to just prioritize, man. And I know it's harder to do, especially, 18 to 21 coming out of high school. Like it's hard to do, but just like try to put your studies first when it comes to that, because you don't want, no shade, but you don't want to be that person that's like, that doesn't have a life after FAMU because they're still always at FAMU because
shade caught.
it's like and it happens, man. And it's not to say that like that window is like it closes after 4 years or whatever. Like that window is always open. You can always go back. You can always turn things around. Period. But it's just it's helpful to make those priorities early, because those habits are hard to kick when it comes to like your studying and partying and things like that. Once you in that life, man, it's it's hard to get out. It's
a slippery slope.
I've seen it happen.
Right. And obviously I didn't know you while you were a student at FAMU, but you must have did something right while you were there, because your senior year, your last year there, you were accepted to multiple medical schools and kind of had some options when it was time for you to, choose what medical school you want to go to. And not only that, but you also spent some time on the Duke University admissions committee, if I'm right. So if you had just like a few tips of advice, like 2 or 3 things that you would say to people who are going through the application process now, or maybe soon going through the application process to help make themselves stand out, what would be those things that you would say?
Right. Yeah, man. It's so we care about like holistic people, right? It's not just about grades. It's not just about school. We being just admissions committees in general. I'm no longer on like any admissions committee or anything like that. But you want to be like, obviously you want to do well in school. You want to have a good MCAT score, all the little, all that stuff. But that's not gonna like set you apart really, especially at a school, unfortunately, like Duke, which is kind of, we see a lot of smart people. There's a lot of smart people at Duke, and really any school, any medical school for that matter. Like there's gonna be a lot of smart people, and you're gonna have similar like quote unquote stats grades to those people. And so what's really gonna make you stand out are the things that you did outside of the classroom, and sort of if you can make your personality even show through your application, that's important too. And so that can be whether that's you're really interested in service, or you're really interested in activism, or you're really interested in specific leadership positions and things like that. If you're really interested in design, art, things like that. It's just like med schools want people that are going to make their class well-rounded, and just having like smart people is not gonna, you're going to be smart, but you're not going to really have anything else to show for it.
Right.
So I think it's important I know I just mentioned like prioritizing, that goes with school, but that also goes with trying to make time for things that you like to do, and trying to make time for like the experiences that are going to be helpful going forward, that aren't necessarily like A's and B's and, making good grades. Because once you're like passionate about something, they say like the whole like genius thing, all like a genius really is, to me at least, or just a person that's found what they're passionate about and what they like to do. There's lots of geniuses in lots of different roles, right? Like you can be a genius of plumbing, you can be a genius of medicine, you can be a genius of music. Like all it is that's a person that found what they're passionate about and they like to learn about it. Because honestly, like you can be smart. Like I could probably pick up, some esoteric learning thing if I want, like, sure, but if I don't like to do it, I'm not going to really dive into that and really put my passion for it. And you just want to make that passion show like through application. Like if something was important to you, like write about it, like write about how, even if it seems like trivial to like most people, like really put how important it is to you and put everything that you put into that activity, like really pour into that, because that's what we care about. Like we don't like all the grades, like that's cool and that's important, but that's not gonna like make you stand out to get that extra mile. But grades will get you accepted too. Like let's be real, like grades are important.
Yeah.
But you want to be well-rounded, and I think that's the most important thing. And also interviewing, like don't be shy, don't be scared, don't be like timid on interviews. Like you're interviewing the school just like the school is interviewing you. And so it's really a matter of making your letting your personality shine through, and just showing them who you are, because you don't want to leave them with any questions on like, should we take them? Should we? Like let them know like this is who you are. If they like it, great. If they don't, like that's fine. Another school will. They don't think it meshes. So I think it's just being yourself and letting your personality shine through, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, right. I think it's good too because like people, I think a lot of times people think like, oh, you have to be some cookie cutter like pre-med or something. So I think that's definitely good advice to hear for sure.
For sure. How was your transition from undergrad to medical school? Like, what was that like for you?
Struggle. It was a struggle, man.
How did you adapt?
Yeah, man. So initially it was just I don't think I really learned to study the right way in college.
Hmm.
Like I, well, I shouldn't. I definitely studied, but I realized that you really have to like pay attention to like the small details. I'm not really like a detail oriented kind of person. Like I'm more of like a big picture kind of thinker.
Right.
And for, when we start, at least at Duke, you start with like biochem, which is very like, can be very like detail oriented.
Yes.
Just not me. And so like, I failed my first test. I remember I was distraught. I was like, I'm not going. Anyways, I failed the first test. And it was a big setback because I think another thing, like we're in general in the field of medicine, we're quote unquote like high achievers or whatever. And so we're used to in certain aspects succeeding, and obviously not always. When you hit a failure, I think it was just important to one, remember why I'm here, remember like one, who I am and why I'm here, what I'm here for. Also knowing that, everything is a process and not like an instant gratification thing, knowing that I'm on the journey. And it took like changing my study habits. So instead of, I'm never a class goer. I don't be in class, period. But it was seeing how can I read, these textbooks or these texts like effectively, or how can I use this lecture material effectively to see like what I need to know for these exams. Because honestly, being real, like med school, if it's not like what you're interested in specifically, you're just really learning for the test, right? Because it's not, I don't use genetics in my everyday life. I don't use even like immunology, sometimes cardiac, but I don't use these like intricate things in my life really. And so for me, it's about learning practically like what it is that I can take forward into my career as a doctor, but also being able to study for these tests and put my best foot forward there. You got all these board exams never stop. I mean, they do eventually, but not really. But yeah, it's an adjustment for everybody. And just also knowing that other people are going through the same thing. And you're never alone. You're never the only person who did poorly on a test or didn't, meet your standard at some point in your journey. Like other people are going through the same thing. So you should never feel isolated, even though it does feel isolating. You shouldn't feel isolated.
That's really good. It sounds like you had like a really strong growth mindset during those challenging moments when things got really difficult for you. I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, like trying to put themselves in that growth mindset, that framework mind. How do you like recommend someone to like get into that zone of where like, all right, I can persevere, I can get through this because, this situation doesn't define me. Like, how do you shift your mind to that direction?
Yeah. Well, so I think a lot of it is just like, I know who I am, and I think that's important. And like, I'm very confident in who I am, and I'm not easily shaken. It wasn't always that way. And when it comes to like getting into that mindset, I think it's, you have to actually have some failures in order to like be able to put yourself in that mindset. Those failures are important because, if you don't face any adversity, the first time you face it, you're going to be like shook. Right. And so, being able to say that, I've had certain setbacks, and I'm here now, I overcame those setbacks to still be in this position was very, very, very important. And then, I mean, for me, it's also been like my faith in God has been important. Just to have like a source, to know that, it doesn't end with me. I'm not like the end all be all. Like, there's a higher power that's looking out and ordering my steps in that regard. And so, being able to put, have faith in God, have faith in myself, has been very important. And if you, if you don't believe, if you're not a believer, you don't have a higher power. It's just really like finding what you value and then remembering like what you bring to the table. I think is important because everybody brings something important to the table, regardless of what you think. And so if you can like just find your why and find like who you are, really think about who you are and what you're trying to do, find your purpose. I think that'll be fine in terms of resiliency standpoint. You'll be straight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think like I'm sure that mindset probably serves you well too now as a resident, because from what I've heard, there's a lot of humbling experiences as one goes through residency. So talk a little bit about like what that's been like as an emergency medicine resident, and also kind of like what made you decide to choose emergency medicine.
Sure. Yeah. So I think so. I went through med school. I'll start with why I chose emergency. Um, and I liked a couple of things. I didn't really hate anything. I'm not an OR person, but I didn't really hate anything specifically that much, at least. And so for me, it was. I also didn't find anything that I thought I could like devote my entire life to specifically. Like there are people out there who like they only see eyeballs. Like that's their isn't that great? And or like even like they only deal with kidneys or and that's important because we need experts in those fields.
Right.
Super important. But for me, like I just like a lot. And so I thought that emergency medicine is a really like cool way to be able to experience a lot of different things. And you also are sort of on the front lines of when people do get sick, when ish does hit the fan, like and there is like acuity to the situation, like you're the person that's there to help those people. And so that like the little caveat that EM doc says, like, oh, we see like the most important times of every specialty, because it's like when everything goes wrong, like you're a dialysis patient, you're managed by nephrology, but when everything goes wrong, you're coming to the ED usually. And so we see like those important moments. And I also like the fact that you can be like so close to the community in the ED, because you're seeing people who don't have access to healthcare, and you can't see like a primary care physician, or they may be homeless or whatever. They come into your emergency department for their care. And so I think that there's something really special about that as well. And so like my experiences in residency have been, well, it was, so I started like when the COVID pandemic was hitting.
Ooh.
That's like when I started, right? So it's definitely been like different. There are some people I've worked with that I've never seen without a mask on. I'm like, I have no idea what the bottom half of their face looks like. Like there's, lots of different precautions and things we have to do, just to go to work in the first place nowadays, which is fine. And I work largely at Grady, which is like the major like community hospital in Atlanta, or county hospital, I should say, in Atlanta. And so again, it's like the sick people, they don't just stop getting sick because COVID happened. You know what I mean? Like they still get sick when it's not always COVID. It could be a lot of different pathologies. And so it's still being able to have that impact, but it's just been a little different because of COVID in terms of like, some of the social aspects of residency that we haven't gotten to delve into, where Atlanta never really like closed down because it's Atlanta, and
Atlanta was lit during the pandemic.
Yeah, we don't care about safety, what. And so, yeah, there's still definitely opportunities and experiences that I've enjoyed, but I think it's been definitely a valuable experience in being able to still be that frontline provider, and also learn a lot being involved in different patients' care.
Have you, speaking about patients' care, have you had any like one-on-one interaction with a patient that just like really made you confirm like, all right, emergency medicine was the right decision, or like some type of standing out case? Can you talk about that?
For sure, man. There's a lot, man. It's because every time that you resuscitate someone, someone who came in at like the brink of like death, pretty much like almost dying, peri arrest, whatever you want to call it. And you're able to, even if, because it's never just me, it's always like a team of, we have, there's an attending, there's other residents, there's nursing, there's APPs, there's techs, there's EK, everybody's working for the same goal. But when you can work with your team to like bring a patient back into, and then you see they have a good outcome through chart review, because it's very, if they're super sick, they're going to the ICU, and so you're not going to see them, but you're able to see that they had a great outcome, and that they're, they're neurologically intact. They're walked out the hospital. That's special. Whenever you have someone come in who's short of breath, you know what I mean? And you give the nebs, you give the mag, you give steroids, whatever. And then, their breathing is unlabored now. They're feeling a lot better. They can tell you thank you when they couldn't even like complete a sentence beforehand. Like that's special. When you have somebody who's just super drunk, and you see them all the time, and they're belligerent, but you still treat them the same way. And then they sober up and they say thank you and they walk out. It's like all those moments kind of come together,
Right.
to make like a really unique and special experience. I think I love that I get to see people of all walks of life. I love that I get to see all ages, all genders, all, all backgrounds, socioeconomically. It's really cool just to be able to treat all those people. And there are obviously bad experiences as well. You won't always bring someone back, unfortunately. And so you'll have those experiences as well, for sure. But being able to have positive impacts on people's lives, I think has been like super helpful, super like encouraging, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Even just like hearing that, like it sounds like so fulfilling. So I'm sure as you like being a part of the team, like I'm sure it's like so special to be able to have that.
Yeah, you can always change your mind. EM will take you. We'll take you.
All right. So Terrell, can you talk about an encounter that you had, the moment where, a patient of color was surprised to see you in the hospital?
Yeah, man, it happens a lot, actually. And even at like a diverse program like Emory, it's still, it's not, the most common thing to see a Black provider. And so when you come and you introduce yourself and you're like, I'm Dr. Jones, I'm one of the folks taking care of you today, whatever, you'll see like their eyes light up. And it'll be like a little bit of confusion, a little bit of like, a little bit of like, wow, going on. And it's special, man, because it's not something that, for one, that oftentimes they've seen ever in their lives, but it's certainly not something that you see oftentimes. Especially like a Black man, you know what I mean? It's even less common for that to happen. And then, if you get to like an African American man, it's even less common. So it starts to, it's these things that aren't super common in their lives. And so being able to be involved in their care and to being able to like, interact with them in a way that's not like a doctor and they're like little like patient, like it's not like I'm, they don't feel like, I hope at least they don't feel like I'm like bigger than them or better than them when I'm asking them questions. Like it's
Right.
like a relationship that you're building. It's the real like doctor patient should be a relationship. It should be like an interaction. It's not 80-20, it should be 50-50. You're really working together to come to the best plan for the patients. And so like I'm sure y'all you see it in med school, you see it in like late med school as well when you're on the rotations, and the Black aunties, the grandmas, they're right.
Oh my God, it's good to see you.
Right.
So happy, so proud of you.
Don't change, man. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, no, even like already, like I've seen how patients can really like loosen up and get like more comfortable. Just like a couple months ago, I was like in the OR. There was a Black anesthesiologist, and with one of the patients was Black, about to get cardiac surgery. But the anesthesiologist put on like Janet Jackson for the patient to like just jam out while, just relax a little bit, like before you're about to go into surgery. So I think those little interactions, like it really allows the patient to just ease up because, they come intense, uncomfortable. So.
Right. Exactly. It goes a long way, even if you don't necessarily, think about it. Like those little experiences, just playing music they like, just talking to them like they're regular, breaking things down in a way they can understand, like that goes a long, long way, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So before you know it, you're going to be, done with residency, which is crazy because I remember when you were just about to start medical school. Now you're almost done residency. So when you do graduate, have you thought about like what you want to do afterwards, career goals, or just other things you want to get involved in when you graduate residency?
Yeah, man, it's a flux. It's still, I'm still in that process. And coming into residency, I was pretty confident I'll be doing like academics in some sort. And I still like to do academics to an extent. I like the teaching aspect of academics. I like having students and different learners at different levels and being able to sort of impart some of that knowledge. And to even, we talk about like having patients having Black doctors. I think students having Black like physicians and like attendings and things like that is also very clutch.
Yeah.
And so I would love to like act in that role. That being said, I don't love research. It's like, and it's not like I dislike it either. I just have to find something that I'm like truly passionate about to like want to like do research projects on, because I'm not interested in necessarily like pumping out papers just for the fact of the feeling of pumping out papers. I don't want to do it for no reason, just to like keep my job or like get tenure or whatever. I would like to do something that I'm interested in. And my interests sort of lie in health disparities. They lie in sort of education, access. I'm interested in like simulation, how we can use that in order to like educate the community and things of that nature. And so like I would, if possible right now, Terrell's second year, is saying like, I think I would want to do academics. But if I could have like a hybrid model, that would be awesome. If I could like do my shifts, work, and also do some research on the side that I'm interested in, but mainly have students with me that are different learners. That would be preferred. I just want to be in the community. That's the most important thing. Is like for me is trying to be in the community and be like a positive role model. And then everything else kind of comes after that. Everything else is just kind of a job, but I really want to be in the community for sure.
You, from my experience with having you as a TA, you're definitely a great teacher. So I'm sure as an attending, you'd be a great teacher, be a cool attending to have. So I think that'd be really cool for students to have that experience with you.
Yeah, would everybody say that? Don't know, but I appreciate that.
Cameron. All right. So far as when you finish residency and you finally get that big signing bonus, you get that, the contract, everything is gonna be nice. What do you think your first purchase will be?
Ooh,
this is the fun question. You gotta think smart about it.
Yeah, well, I might get a crib, man. I've been in an apartment for a long time. Yeah, I might get a crib. I need a lot of new things. I'm very much like that old person who just like doesn't change things until like they're actually like broken and I can't use it anymore. That's my car, that's my phone, that's everything. Everything is very like on the cusp of like almost not working, but still working. So we're working it. So yeah, and honestly, inspirational answer. I think that my parents, they've done so much for me. Sort of when I think about where I could have been and the sacrifices that they made in order for me to just be in a positive environment and sort of get to where I am now. They have been trying to pay off the house I grew up in for since before I was born. And so being able to, it's not that much left on the bill. So I mean, it wouldn't hit me that hard, but being able to make that like final payment would be dope, man. I think that would be special. Just to give back to them just a little bit. They've done so much. They've sacrificed so much for me. I can't even put into words. So that would be nice. And then I'm gonna go and buy a crib.
Buy a crib for yourself.
Right.
No, I love it. Definitely got to give back to the parents who paved the way for us, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Terrell, thank you so much for taking some time out of a very busy resident schedule to talk to us. We really appreciate it. Definitely been a pleasure for us, and just hearing a little bit more about your story and kind of advice that you have that you've accumulated along your path. So I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. I want to say this too. Shout out to y'all, man. Like for real. I think what y'all are doing is really important, really special. I've been following along with the podcast and everything. I saw Najib and Dill on here. I even saw Nah, and I was like, dang, I gotta go on here too. all the heavy hitters here.
For sure.
So I think what y'all are doing is really special and really important, because we know that there is the huge disparity when it comes to Black men in medicine. And so I really appreciate what y'all are doing. Cam, keep doing what you're doing, dog. You're gonna do great things. Keem, I literally follow your page because I'm trying to be more artsy and trying to be
I'm good.
How to make a mug design today. Shout out to that. I saw it. And I really appreciate what y'all are doing, man. Keep it up for real.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.